Hey everybody, my name is Luke Cherry and I am an employee here at North Coast Church at the Carlsbad Campus. And I've been given the task today at bringing some thoughts from the book of Zechariah to you. To me, it's almost laughable. Zechariah is such a crazy book. It's rich in imagery. It's a little bit chaotic. But let me set up the context of Zechariah a little bit. The Judeans have been put into exile by the Babylonians, and so they're learning the Babylonian culture. They're learning to survive there. And somewhere along the way, the Persian Empire comes in and defeats the Babylonians. And at that point, the Judeans are allowed to go back home to their homeland and rebuild their city, rebuild their temple. And a major player in that rebuild is Zechariah the prophet. And Zechariah, like I said, he's having these nighttime visions that he's documenting here in the book. And I mean, there's ladies in baskets, and there's chariots and blacksmiths, a flying scroll. The only way for you to really get the full theme of this book, I think, is to read it yourself. It's really fun to read alongside like Daniel, the second half of Daniel, or the book of Revelation. But all in all, when it comes down to these visions, the big theme here is it's a message of hope. And true, Zechariah does call out their ancestors, how they missed the mark, how they disobeyed Yahweh. But in the end, the general theme is one of hope. There's a great excerpt from Zechariah chapter 8, verse 3 that I wanted to read. And this is what it says. This is what the Lord says: I will return to Zion and dwell in Jerusalem. Then Jerusalem will be called the faithful city, and the mountain of the Lord Almighty will be called the holy mountain. This is what the Lord Almighty says. Once again, men and women of ripe old age will sit in the streets of Jerusalem, each of them with cane in hand because of their age. The city streets will be filled with boys and girls playing there. This is what the Lord Almighty says. It may seem marvelous to the remnant of this people at that time, but will it seem marvelous to me, declares the Lord Almighty? This is what the Lord Almighty says. I will save my people from the countries of the east and the west. I will bring them back to live in Jerusalem. They will be my people, and I will be faithful and righteous to them as their God. What a message for people that have just been through the worst tragedies. And I think two takeaways that I have is the first one being is I just think on Zechariah and how he must have been received by the people of that day. This guy who goes to the people of Judea and says, I'm having these visions. And sometimes I think with myself, I look at God and what he's capable of doing in a comfortable little box, how he can speak and what he can say. And I think sometimes I need to be stretched. And back then, I'm guessing that these nighttime visions must have been startling to a lot of people. But sometimes I think we can miss what God is doing if we're limited in the scope of what we think he's capable of doing. But secondly, I don't want to forget this message of hope that is written all over Zechariah. I think a lot of us ourselves, like when I look at the United States and I look at the world, we've been through a lot of just gnarly tragedies recently. And I think we need to live in this concept of hope daily. We need to be agents of hope to the people around us, in our workplaces, families, whatever circles we find ourselves in. People need to remember, just like the people of Israel needed to remember that Yahweh was for them. He was their deliverer. We need to remember that. So I hope that you hop into Zechariah yourself, and I hope that you don't forget today as we go about our day that we have a message of hope, and let's grasp onto that despite whatever might be going on around us. Thanks so much for joining us today, this Daily Dose, and hope to see you next time.